Welcome to the Inside Track on Real Estate, and I'm Ken Decker, and I've got a special guest with me today, Ryan Decker.
That's me.
And Ryan is has a specialty in our team. And what's that specialty, Ryan?
Well, I help people buy investment properties, and today we're going to get the opportunity.
But not just investment properties.
No, not just investment properties, but that is one of my specialties that I love to work with is investors.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. So, buying an investment property is a big step, and it may be the first one that you're thinking of buying, or you may be a seasoned pro in buying investment properties. Either way, we can help.
That's true.
Yeah. So, Ryan, why would someone decide, hey, you know what, maybe I should buy my first rental property? Why would they do that?
It's a great question. A lot of people, they want to invest and they're not sure how. They go to the stock market, they go to real estate, they're trying to figure it out. So today what I want to do is give you a good grasp of why would you even think of investing in real estate. And a lot of people, the reason they go to it is, one, it's stable. It's, we've seen different things in the States, so it's not always stable, and yet over a long period of time, it's very stable.
Real estate in the Ottawa market's very stable.
And in Ottawa,
gone
extremely
down
stable.
3 years. In the last 50 years, there's only been 3 years where the actual average sale price for the year decreased, and the most it went down in 1 year was 2.4%.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So, again, very stable in Ottawa. That being said, you're not looking so much at the beginning for income. When you first buy the property, you're looking for it to grow long-term, buy and hold. And over a long period of time, you can accumulate every 5 years, you can double your properties. And that's something we teach at our wealth seminar. So if you want to learn more about how to double your properties every 5 years, please come out to that. And you can go to our website, which you'll get it.
Yeah, so deckerteam.com, you can go to that. That seminar is held the second Thursday of each month. So all you got to do is call in and register your seat, 613-860-4663, and we'll register you a spot. And you could probably even buy a copy of my Wealth Formula book at a great price, and I'll autograph it for you.
Sounds good.
Yeah. So why else would you want to buy a rental property?
So after you accumulate a lot, let's say in 20, 30 years, and you start paying them down fairly aggressively, and then you start getting income from them, a substantial amount of income.
Hold on, it's only going to be, I'm not going to get income for 30 years?
Well, you could. If you're buying properties every 5 years, you're going to get equity growth. You're not so much going to get income, unless that's what you're trying to go after.
So this is a wealth building strategy.
This is a wealth building strategy we're talking about right now.
Okay, through rental properties.
Through rental properties.
Okay.
And over the long term, you can accumulate many if that's your goal, or you can pay them down quickly if that's your goal, or you can get a lot of income from them.
Okay, so we either pay them down quickly to get monthly cash flow.
Correct.
Or we leverage them and buy an extra one for pretty much free without any more down payment money.
Yep.
Every 5 years, we double the number of
homes
rentals we have.
Yep.
And that's a wealth building strategy where we're building up equity in our properties. Or I've heard about just buy and flip, like short-term holds. Is that a wealth building strategy?
For me it is, as the realtor. There is some money to be made buying and flipping. However, what I've seen is buy and hold. That's where your real money's going to be.
That's the truth, eh? That's amazing. Yeah, that's a wealth building strategy for your real
me,
estate agent if you want to buy and flip all the time. Okay, so what really is the long-term gain? What can I expect if let's say I've got, I don't know, maybe $60,000 I've saved up, or I've got $60,000 equity in my house.
Yep.
And I want to go out and buy maybe a $300,000 or $280,000 townhouse that's going to rent for, anywhere from $1,300, $1,500, $1,600, depending on the location.
Yeah.
And it's going to cash flow. I'm going to be excited about that. Cash flow means that the amount of rental income I get covers all the expenses of the unit, like the taxes, the insurance, the mortgage payment, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so I've got this $60,000 that I want to invest today, and based on the historical growth in value of properties over the last 50 years, it's been around 6% or so.
Okay.
So what's that going to look like for a guy? Let's say I'm 30 years old.
Yep.
I'm 30 years old. I get 60 grand to invest. What can you possibly make that to? Because we can't guarantee results.
No, we can't.
Never can, because we don't know what the market's going to do. But what would that look like 30 years down the road? How many houses could I own roughly? And with a steady 6% increase in value, good rental market like we have in Ottawa. Ottawa, the rental vacancy rate is very low.
Yes, it is.
Okay, so what would that look like? Like would I have $1 million, or would I have 500,000 or 2 million?
Yeah, I wish you let me bring my computer because I'm a bit of a math guy. And if you were to expand your number of houses every 5 years to double them, so the first year you got 1, year 5 you got 2.
And I can do that without any more
money. That's correct.
Okay.
Yeah, you're going to need to make sure you're with a great mortgage broker so they're getting you the right mortgage so you'll be able to keep getting more.
Okay.
So let's do the math. You get 2 in year 5, 4 year
10.
Okay.
8 in year 15.
Yeah, and then
16 in year 20.
20, yeah. And then 32.
32 in year
25. So I'm going to stop there because
Okay.
the next one's 64, which is huge. And I don't, you could get there.
Yeah. Okay, so 25 years we could have our 32 properties.
Yeah, and you'd have 20% down in each.
Right.
And the average price of the home, if you're buying them at $300,000 now in 25 years, what's that going to be?
It'll be about $1 million.
$1 million bucks. So you're going to have 22 homes?
32 homes.
Sorry, 32 homes, 20% down.
So that's 200 times
200,000.
$6 million.
Yeah, there you go. $6 million bucks. That's good math in your head. I need my computer.
You need your computer. I work up here. That's the difference in age, guys. But Ryan has put together a fabulous Excel spreadsheet,
you.
which he can put your numbers into when you find a prospective home. He'll run it through his Excel spreadsheet, tell you what the possible cash flow is, how quickly the mortgage will pay down, what your payments are going to be, the whole thing, closing costs, everything's calculated into what down payment you need.
Land transfer tax, what percentage you're going down if it's 20, or maybe you have a little more and you want to go 25% down, so you have a little more cash flow each month. We can add any of that into the computer, and within a couple minutes, you got your answer.
Okay, so that's really a great benefit from working with someone that specializes in the investment side of things, because I think actually on the last show, we were just talking about rental properties and how we can represent a tenant or a landlord.
Yeah.
And we were actually talking about you briefly and saying that you have a diploma in business finance.
That's correct.
And rather than go out and sell mutual funds and things like that, why did you decide real estate?
I was sitting in my classes and I had to listen to the teachers, and they'd talk about how stocks go up at this percentage, and then we take this much as a cut each month, and just how it worked. And it didn't sound very good from where I was sitting.
From the investor's standpoint.
From the investor's standpoint. They couldn't really make that much. They couldn't really move forward and really, get rid of all their debt or, retire and know they've got lots of money and they're able to travel or spend time with their kids or whatever their goals are. It was really hard for that to happen. And then when I started looking into the real estate side, which I grew up in, the rate of returns were crazy if it's leveraged. And you don't want to over leverage, because then you get disasters like the States, and I know I've said that twice now, because that is something we need to remember and learn from. And so, you can make 30% a year easily just buying. I could pick
30%.
30%. Let's say 26 if you want. And that's in equity growth, not in cash flow each month. So that's very important to remember. Equity growth.
That's based on a 6% historical growth.
No, that's based on 4 or 5% actually.
Okay.
So you could even have even more if you're using the historical 6.
Okay. But you have to keep it leveraged fairly
You got to
regularly
keep it
for that.
leveraged every 5 years for it, and it'll as you pay down your mortgage, your leverage will go down because you're not borrowing as much, and so then your rate of return's not as high because you have more money in the game.
Right.
So when you spread that out to more properties, you're
And that's why every 5 years we buy another property. We take the equity out of that one, buy another one, so our equity's spread out. We're re-leveraged,
yes.
and we're making that high rate of return again in the 30%, 35,
That's
36%.
And then when you don't want to do that anymore, you don't want to keep expanding, you just keep paying them off, and then you have a fabulous income later.
Right. And give me some ideas of some of the advantages of having a real estate in your portfolio,
Yeah.
as opposed to, let's say, money in the bank and earning interest or something of that nature, or another investment.
Okay, so I'll talk about stocks first. So stocks, when they're going up, houses are normally either going down a little bit or staying the same. And when stocks are going houses are normally going up. So they're in a reverse relationship.
Okay.
And that being said, if your stocks are going down, you want your other investments going up to kind of, help you level through the storm.
Okay.
And when it comes to, investing in the bank, what kind of interest rate are you getting?
Well, let's talk craziness and say we're getting 2%.
Okay, all right, I'm excited. I'm there. So 2%, what's the inflation right now?
Around 3, I think.
Okay, so you're telling me you're going to sock away that money, hard-worked money, and you're going to lose 1% a year?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I guess the government's going to tax me on that 2%
Oh, yeah, they're going
aren't
to tax
they?
you too. So,
I've lost money and they still got to pay income tax on it?
That's true. Yeah.
Wow, that's horrific.
Yeah.
So real estate really is it's a protected investment. There's no tax on it
No.
until I
you
actually
sell it.
sell it. And then when I sell it, is there an advantage or a disadvantage
There
with that
is.
type of investment?
There's a great advantage. You only have to pay tax on 50% of your gain, which is pretty awesome when you go to sell.
So that's a capital gains.
That's called a capital gains tax
Right.
exemption. That's correct.
And I want to delay, I don't want to be fraudulent and not give the government what they're due, but they do have ability to delay paying taxes. And by putting it into real estate, I don't pay taxes on that money until I actually liquidate my asset.
Until you sell it.
Right?
Yeah.
The other thing is, because it's real estate, technically, the government has deemed that the property, not the land always goes up, typically goes up in value, but the actual improvement, the house, the building, goes down in value over time because it depreciates. Because the roof doesn't, needs
gets
replacing.
older, the wood's getting
furnace,
older, out of style,
Yeah,
kitchen,
everything gets
yeah.
older. So I can actually write depreciation off on the value of the property, which I can then get a tax refund because I've lost some of my investment because it's depreciated, and I don't have to pay that tax back until 25, 30, 50 years later when I actually liquidate my asset. And it's gone up in value significantly, and it's been protected from taxes for that period of
Whole way
time.
through.
That's pretty cool.
That is pretty cool. And I am going to advise any listener to get your tax advice from your
accountant. Yeah. That's a good idea.
However, that is a
we are
great
experts
strategy.
in-
we are
in real
experts
estate.
in real estate. That's correct.
Okay. So, Ryan, what about, I have people ask me, should I buy a single unit, like a townhouse or a bungalow, or should I buy a triplex or a fourplex or even bigger? Should I get into the multi-unit, 6, 8, 10 units? What's the difference? What do you advise?
Okay, so it comes down to a lot of things. One is how much money you have up front. If you have a ton of money, then maybe you can get into an 8, a 9, a 10. However, if you don't have a ton, starting with a single or a duplex is going to be, your limitations. That being said, why would you want multi or why would you want single? If you have a multi and one of your tenants leaves, you still got, let's say you have a 10 unit, you still have 9 other tenants. So it's not such a big deal.
Right.
Whereas if you have one tenant leave and you only have one tenant, you got to get a tenant in and you're paying for that each month.
So that's the advantage of having multi-units.
That's the
Even
yes.
multi-singles.
Yeah, even multi-singles. You're spreading out the risk of having no tenant.
If one's empty, it's not as big a deal because you've got other income coming in
Correct.
from other units. But you still got to pay the mortgage on that one. So we still want to budget for that.
You
and
do.
I think your spreadsheet
And my
allows for that
spreadsheet
too.
does budget for that as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So if you're just joining us, you're listening to the Inside Track on Real Estate with the Decker team. And I'm talking to Ryan Decker today, who's really one of his specialties on the team is investment properties for people. And he specializes in helping you get your first investment property because there's a lot of knowledge that needs to be absorbed right at the beginning, and you want an expert in your corner when you're thinking of doing something like this. And so Ryan's that expert for us. So we're just discussing the advantages of a single unit compared to a multi-unit. Mm-hmm. So continue on. Sorry.
Okay, thank you. So when it comes to a single unit, the one advantage is cash flow is almost identical to a multi-unit right now. That's
really?
what I'm
Okay.
seeing across Ottawa. Is if you're going to buy a multi-unit, you're going to buy a single unit. Your cash flow percentage-wise is going to be very similar.
Wow, I've always thought that you get higher cash flow in a multi-unit, more doors, more cash flow.
As you should. However, right now in the market, we're not seeing that.
Oh, okay.
And that may shift very quickly. As time goes on, we may see that change. However, right now it's very, very similar. So that's an advantage. You don't have to lay out as much cash, and you're still getting the same percentage.
Right. Now, I think the interest rates and mortgaging of a multi-unit, especially if you get up over those 5 units, you start getting above 4, 5, 6, your mortgage changes, right? From a residential type mortgage to more commercial type mortgage. Higher percentage down typically required, and a little higher interest rate than you could get on a residential mortgage. Yep. So those are some other
things to consider for sure. And then the one other thing to consider is, are you managing the property or do you have a property manager? If you have a property manager, having one single unit, you may, with spread out, so you have 8 of them spread out through the city, you may have to pay them a little more because they're going to all these different units. Whereas if you have one unit with 10 doors, they don't have to drive, they don't have to travel.
So property management costs would be less.
Yes.
With a multi-unit as opposed to a whole bunch of singles.
That's correct.
And
same with your driving time, right? If you're managing them yourself, if you got to go check,
pick up rents.
Pick up rent everywhere, you don't have the...
Okay. And also, I guess you have one roof to maintain, not 10, or let's say a fourplex, which is very common, fourplex, and 4 single bungalows or 4 townhouses or something. You have one roof, not 4 roofs to worry about maintenance on, and that type of thing.
That's correct. And then when we go to liquidate at some point, it's almost always easier to sell a single unit because there's more buyers. There's more people. They want it for their family. They want it for an investment property. There's just more buyers. Whereas when you go to a fourplex, you only really have someone who wants to live in a unit and rent out the rest, or someone who wants to rent out all. So you're limited in the amount of buyers you have.
And so the valuation quite often is done in a different way as well with a multi-unit compared to a single unit. Because single, you're using that kind of, in both systems you might use a comparison method, but a single family, it's not necessarily the income that's determining the value of the property. It's how much a family will pay to live in that particular single family home.
Correct.
Whereas in a multi-unit, it's done differently.
It is. So with a multi-unit, you're looking at what's the cash flow or what's the rate of return, and that will create how much you're willing to pay for that unit.
So the capitalization rate.
Capitalization rate, yeah. Now some people might not understand what that word means. Don't worry about it. It's just a word.
Right. Now what about condo versus freehold? What do you think? One advantage over the other?
They're both great options. It depends really what you're looking for as an investor. Do you want to spend very little time? Then you may want to buy a newer unit, or you may want to buy a condo because there's less work that you don't have to worry about the roof, you don't have to worry about the windows, you don't have to worry about the siding, whatever. And so when it comes to the condo, you're going to have less work, and you're going to be able to pick them up for a less price. maybe you can pick them up for $200 or $250 instead of, $250, $350.
Okay.
So freehold are going to be more money to pick up.
So for our listeners, the buyer may be able to buy one with less money down.
Less money
it's
down.
More affordable entry point for your first rental property.
Correct.
Okay.
Now the disadvantage is if it's vacant, you're going to have to pay that condo fee anyways.
Right.
Right? And your condo fee, some people are like, oh, I don't want to pay a condo fee, it's going to nothing. Well, no, it's going towards your shingles, your windows, your siding. So in the end, it's almost the same. You might have a little more room to play with a freehold. However, they're both great options.
Okay. And with a condo, it's a little harder to cash flow, I guess, because you have to pay that condo fee. It's another fee that the landlord pays, so the rent has to cover that on top of the other things.
You'll get rents similar in a freehold to a condo of similar sizes, and your mortgage will be a fair bit less. So the gap's not that big.
Not that bad. Okay. Yeah. And we're finding that the inventory in condominiums is significantly higher. So there are some bargains out there, some people that need to sell and have an urgency to sell. And really, as an investor, that's the type of property you're looking for. You're looking to make money on the buy because you want to have equity the minute you buy it, so you've made money.
And why is that, Ken?
Because you make money on the front end, that's guaranteed. The money on the back end is always, we hope for that.
Yeah.
There's no guarantees.
We're planning for that.
We're planning for it. But when you buy it on the front end, that's guaranteed instant equity you got in your property.
Fantastic.
Yeah. So some people may want to rent to students.
Okay.
What do you want to say about that?
So I lived this. When I was in college, I bought a house and I had 6 roommates, and it was awesome. I got to live there for free. They paid for my food. It was quite the experience. I wouldn't do it now where I am in my life to live with them. However, back then it was great. For someone considering that, like I said before, you only need 1 unit if you buy, a bungalow and you put a student apartment in the basement and then, 4 students upstairs. You have more, if one's vacant, not a big deal. You also have more costs though. You'll most likely have to pay for the water and the hydro. You'll pay a little, charge more for rent, so it'll cover it. So
you're really renting a couple rooms out.
Yeah.
And you may, you probably are supplying cable and high-speed internet and stuff like that, so that everyone's sharing that in the place. Now, let's say some of our listeners are thinking, they have someone in high school that's about to go into college next year. They're thinking about, oh man, residency is expensive, or even they could live at home, but it's probably a good experience for them for their son or daughter to get out of the home and start to live some experiences. So that might be a great idea for them to buy a property, maybe with their son or daughter, and have their son or daughter manage it because they're living on site, maintaining it, make sure that it's looked after well.
And they're respecting it. And
they're invested in it. And they're going to share on the growth when they come out of it. So it's a win-win for both the parents and the student to come out of college or university with less debt or no debt. Because the house has built up the equity that it's cost them to go to university.
And depending on how they structured it, they may have had to pay very little or nothing for their living accommodations, which makes going to college a lot cheaper.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Awesome. So what about other areas? What about buying a rental in Florida or Detroit or one of those depressed areas in the United States, or even like I own a couple properties, one in Kempville, one in Brockville, as opposed to being right in Ottawa itself. Yeah. What's your thoughts on that?
So my thoughts are, as soon as you go out of Canada and you're out of the market you're used to, things are very different, and you really need to be protected. So whenever you're thinking of another country, you got to be protected, get educated, come see us. But this is a whole new thing. It's they're used to buying. Someone might be used to buying a home in Ottawa or in Canada, and they think it should be the same in the States, and it's not. And so that's one thing, you know, it's amazing down there. You can buy some great properties. They're great cash flow, great numbers, and yet you got to know what you're doing.
Okay, so you have some expertise in that. You built some contacts in the U.S. and we can hook people up if that's something they're thinking
interested
of doing.
in. Yes.
Some people buy a rental property in Florida, for instance, knowing that in maybe 20 years when they go to retire, that's going to be the retirement home for the winter. Yeah, so that's a great option as well.
And then if you go to something like Brockville or Kentville, you can get higher rates of return than in Ottawa. That's what we're finding.
Higher cash flow?
Cash flow, thank you. Yes. And the markets, well, what do you think?
So the markets haven't grown as fast as Ottawa has. So there tends to be still lots of tenants because it's a different market. But you can tend to cash flow easier and get a higher what we call a cap rate on your money in those towns.
In those areas.
So if you're willing to drive a little bit, then we may be able to find you a great. And I like those two towns particularly. I bought in them both. There are other towns around where prices are significantly depressed, but then there's not much going on in the town either. So tenants need jobs.
They do.
Or they need to be on social services or whatever so that they can pay the rent. And so that's another way. Some of the social services have guaranteed rent programs for their clients. So they might be slightly handicapped people or people that are just not capable of getting a job or getting income or whatever in their particular situation right now. And so the government makes sure that they're looked after and they make sure their rent's paid. So they're a pretty secure rent payment. So that's another option. Rooming houses.
Yep.
A little trickier. You need big money to get involved in a rooming house.
And what is a rooming house?
Well, a rooming house might have 12, 15, 20, 30 rooms. It has central bathrooms and central kitchenettes and that sort of thing. And falls under a different legislation. It has to be licensed as a rooming house. Mortgaging is tough. You'd probably be lucky, to get 50% mortgage on a rooming house, so you need lots of down payment. They cash flow like crazy.
Yeah.
Lots of income, but they're tougher to get into. So it's a whole different section.
And that might even be an exit strategy for someone when later down the road they have all these properties, they start liquidating, and then they buy.
And you need a great property manager, and usually that property manager will live on site.
Yeah.
Because people that rent in a rooming house, they're just not quite as usually as high an income person or more transient at the time. I actually lived in a rooming house for a few months when I was just before I got married and moved to Ottawa. We let our apartment go, and I needed a place to live for a few months, and a rooming house was a great option for me. So they do serve a great purpose for many people. It's just a special investor for that type of property. So thanks for joining us on the Inside Track on Real Estate. It's been a real pleasure talking with Ryan Decker today about investing in real estate as rental properties and investing in your first investment property. If this is something that's maybe tweaked a little interest in you, or one of your New Year's resolution was to buy an investment property this year, then you need to talk to us. And the best way to talk to us is give us a call and book an appointment. Our phone number is 613-860-4663, or you can email us at deckerteam@chri.ca, or drop onto our website, deckerteam.com. Look at archived shows that we've had, and feel free to email us and book an appointment. We'd love to sit down with you and build an investment strategy to build wealth for you. Bye for now.
What you wanna do?